Okay, so I have a long time friendship with Johnny Juice, who's in the group Public Enemy, and every time I go to New York, I'll actually go and link up with Juice, providing he's in the city, because he does travel around a lot. And so I've known Juice well over 15 years. I can remember going to the Public Enemy studio, what they call the Terror Dome, and worked with Johnny on a film about Leeds New School. And also I did an interview with Johnny Juice for my film. That was way back in 2008, and we've maintained a friendship. Every time I go to New York, we always get together. I actually made a second film with him about Son of Berserk. So, you know, we have a very strong connection. So Public Enemy had an awareness of me, and I've done a few shows with Public Enemy, but Juice was coming to the UK as the DJ for the group. And I think this is the first time in a long time, but first time as long as I've known Juice, for him to be in the UK. Talking to him, I never thought about going to the gig or getting into the gig. All I want to do is capture a picture maybe of him and Public Enemy, Chuck and Flav outside the venue, something they can use for like press material moving forward, you know, because I don't think there's a picture or press material of Johnny and Chuck, Flav. So I was hoping to capture that picture. When I turned up to the venue, Juice was waiting outside. So he brought me into the venue, and it kind of just changed. The whole plan changed from that moment, from the moment I walked into the venue, because I ended up just staying for the entire evening. So I've met Chuck a few times, had a few meetings with him in the past, and so, you know, I kind of stay out of the way of Chuck and Flav and the guys, because you know that, you know, they're doing a sound check, and there's a certain way, there's etiquette, right? So I kind of just sit back and let them do their thing, and if someone comes and speaks to me, they come and speak to me. And when Chuck saw me and he came across and we spoke, the first thing he said to me was, when are we going to work together? And you know, I'm a serious person and he's a serious person, so you know, it's just these words I don't take lightly, and he doesn't take it lightly, you know, when he says it. So it's a case of when the opportunity presents itself, I love to work on a project with Chuck and do something. What it'll be, I don't know. It's just finding the right project and where I can become like an asset to the team, do something, bring something to the table that, you know, something special, I suppose. Public Enemy has to be the largest rap group in the history of rap music or hip hop. No offence to any of the other groups, but they've been going a long, long time and shared the spaces with like mighty groups like, you know, Anthrax and Rolling Stones and all these like super name groups and everything. So when you think about what's going on recently in that past weekend, that past week, you've seen Iron Maiden doing shows, you've seen Black Sabbath doing their thing in Birmingham, Oasis have come back out, Guns N' Roses in Europe. But when you think about Public Enemy, they're as big as them, any of those groups. When you think about and you see the pictures of the tours that they've been doing, the shows that they've been doing recently, like the arenas or the festivals, I mean, they're jam-packed. The Royal Albert Hall show that we, you know, attended, that was sold out. It was incredible. They are the largest rap group. And this is the amazing thing about Chuck, is that when you think about it and you put it in perspective, he's a people's person. As long as I've had interactions with him, I've witnessed that he has formed a giant community of people who are not just fans of PE, but he's built all these relationships. You know, people meet him on the tour, he walks around, he speaks to everybody. I would say a lot of people feel very close to him and they feel a connection. I mean, we're talking about thousands of people, right? So he's a very special human being, because he does take the time to get to know you, and he does remember everything. I remember when I met him, well, not when I met him, but when I had a meeting with him one time in Birmingham in a hotel, he knew so much about me and what I had done. People who attended that meeting with me, you know, I brought along some people I went to school with, people that, you know me from when I was a child, you know, getting into hip hop, becoming a fan of Public Enemy later, and he was like, he knew more about me than my friends know. He does his research, he's diligent, he's just You know, he's a very interesting human being. And when you think about, you know, he stood on the front line speaking about injustices and things that are wrong in the world and right in the world. He's put himself right out there on the front line, and it's real nice to know and to know Chuck and experience Chuck D, because that's a very, very unique and very special human being when you look at the big picture of everything else. You know, you get deeper into it, you start to notice how he looks at people, like especially photographers like myself, and you can talk about Exhibit Black, who was actually on the sidelines here watching from London, and he's going to ask some questions, but he has an awareness of people who've got something, who've been on a journey, and he understands that the, you know, the skill set that people have and they can bring to the table, they add value to their journey, and he will give you 100% access, you know, like to, I mean, for me, I know in my experience he's done that, so he's, and I've seen him do it to other people, but he'll allow you to, he'll kind of tell you, just go for it, do what you want, capture what you want. He has a great awareness. In fact, I can vividly remember on the stage, just being on the side, you know, I'm just on the side of the stage, but you can see that he takes note of where you are. So he has an awareness of where you are in the space. So he takes a mental note, knowing, okay, I can utilize that person for a special moment, and he did that with me. He's done that a couple of times, but and he'll do things to, like, he understands how difficult a challenge or your journey might be, being a photographer or someone that's involved in hip-hop culture in UK 2025, been involved with it since the 80s. He knows how difficult it is for people here in the UK who are trying to not just document the culture but take part in it. It's a struggle in the UK, and he has an awareness. So twice now he's kind of shouted me out on the stage, and, you know, given me a platform and acknowledged, you know, what I do, which is really, really, really special. But at the same token, you look and you think, and in reflection to how here we champion our own in the UK, we fail miserably about championing our own, especially people who they may not be at the forefront as being popular, because, you know, their faces that you see them and you know, this and that. I'm talking about people who actually do the work, people who got a certain like an incredible skill set that can deliver great images, great art. Those people are most of the time in the background and not talked about, and we don't champion them. And they dedicate, you know, the real ones, they dedicate a lifetime to their work, and that's what I look at, you know, myself, Exhibit, and others. And I think Chuck acknowledges that, so that's special. And I like that, because he'll do and speak up about people that most of the time people ignore in the UK. Yeah, they appreciate what they might do and deliver, the photographs, they think, oh, they're cool, but they don't understand the work that goes into this. They don't understand the experience that people have to go through to capture those images. It's very difficult for people in the UK, and I can say that for a fact because this gentleman was in there, world famous, you know, a world famous photographer, world class photographer, great David Corio, and he had a difficult time, you know, capturing images too, right? And this is somebody that's, you know, many of us have purchased his book, people have looked at his images since the 80s and been inspired by him, so I kind of share the experience that he had and to witness it. So yeah, I do appreciate Chuck. I think Chuck's a very, very, very special human being in that case. Well, I think Chuck D is exceptional when it comes to giving people a platform, not just up-and-coming artists, but established artists, people who are from his generation too. You know, I've watched this, and he's created this digital radio platform, offering shows to many artists, you know, to curate and do their thing. He'll support them. There's only so much he can do. I've watched him, and I kind of took notes, is that he'll give you the platform, he'll create a space for you, he'll support it where he can, and it's up to you to do what you can with it, right? And I think me as a photographer and artist, I think he's given me a space and a platform and acknowledgement and presented me to, you know, people out there, and it's up to me to do what I can with it. And I think that's the beauty in Chuck D. I think people might expect a little bit more from him, and I'm pretty sure his inbox is non-stop requests, maybe even once or twice in the past. I've been that person, you know. This is a very important human being, Chuck D. He's such an influential spokesperson, an icon in our culture. He gave people, especially when you think about the heyday of Public Enemy, what they stood for and what they still stand for, is they gave us strength and the motivation to become something, and a self-belief. So I think Chuck, you know, people still see him that way. They see him as a leader, and but I do think, you know, he does create the platforms for people, and he did that for me, and he's done it before in Shrewsbury or something like that, where he called me out on the stage. But this time round, he brought me on the stage to take a picture, and he did give me a nice send-off. You know, he did speak about me and give me some acknowledgement. I was so focused on getting the shot right, I didn't actually hear what Chuck was saying. It's when people sent me the videos that I got to hear, so I appreciate what he's done. But I do acknowledge that, yeah, he does do what he can to help people. The Royal Albert Hall, I've never been there before, only ever seen it on television or in pictures. When I got there, it's a beautiful building. When it's lit up, it's just incredible. And to see that show was sold out, and to be obviously in the background, but to be then called out by Chuck out there and it have the acknowledging in a venue like that, it meant the world. I mean, it was not, I didn't expect him to do anything. It just happened. Never asked him to do anything. It just happened. But it felt like, it felt amazing, because you know how much time and effort I've put into this culture and in my work. And I'm not saying I've perfected my skills, because you're always learning, but you know, to acknowledge that somebody recognises you for your skills and abilities in a space like that, how often does that happen to anybody? It was incredible. And he did acknowledge others too, so, and he wanted to acknowledge the whole UK rap scene, but you know, it's a little bit difficult to get backstage and get everybody up on that stage, but he really wanted to do that, and I feel very proud of that. I just wish that, you know, the UK did support artists like myself and others, you know, who give a lifetime to this culture, right? It's a shame that we don't recognise our own, but yet someone like Chuck, like I said, does his homework, does his diligence, and he'll support people like me. So it's much appreciated. It was a very special moment, a moment I will never forget. I'm glad I got to share it with people, friends like Johnny Juice.
What setup do you use, and do you have a certain style of photography that you do?
My setup, at the moment I'm using my Canons, 7Ds and 60Ds, 80mm lenses and 35mm, because I like portrait photography. I like capturing people doing intimate things. That's what I really like doing, capturing, and that's what I've been doing in film most of the time. You know, anyone that knows my film, I like to capture the stories and you know, the not tales, but the stories, and capture the activity or the people in the process of doing what they're doing. I like to document that. You know, I don't like the sensational, set-up shots. I like to just capture people in their element, like a fly on the wall. When it comes to my style of photography, as far as like technically, I'm not very technical. I think I've always gone with feeling, you know, and I'm around a lot of technical photographers who talk a lot of tech. And you know, you go back 30 years ago when I was a student, and I spent all my time in the darkroom. Me and kids like Miffy, Anthony Smith, who works at BBC now as an editor. We spent a lot of time. We would be like the first students in, the last students out, every day in a dark room, and you learnt a lot about technique there. But all of my pictures and everything I do, I just go with feeling. I'm not technically minded anymore. I'm just like, oh, let's try and capture something organic. And so a lot of people might look down on that, but the images speak for themselves, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, real. Okay.
I need to learn some more technical stuff because I'm going back into film. You need to refresh. You need to refresh your knowledge of some of the technical bits if you want to do some great images.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, how do you find your fellow photographers and videographers to work with?
I'll say this, when it comes to other photographers, videographers, right, I'm very comfortable being who I am. I'm very comfortable being in the space, and I'm very comfortable sharing the space with other people. I've never turned around and said, he can't do this, or I don't want to be like this, I don't want to be around. I don't. I've always said go for it because...
overheating.
Okay. Is it overheating?
Yeah.
I've always felt like... everyone's got some different style, or someone's got a different angle to bring to the table. I'm quite comfortable being around other people. I don't like people telling me what to do, so I will never say that to anybody else, or never say or speak badly in that way. But I love it because you're kind of getting to see somebody else work and their methods and their approach, and they get to see you. So I really enjoy. I don't mind it at all. I don't mind working with other people like exhibit and stuff. Like we exchange lenses. Stuart Myers. Go on. So I've always admired. I don't mind it. Like for example, working with Stuart Myers, I really enjoyed working with him. He's very technical, but his images are really great. You're going to see now some of the images that I took of the show. And I hope that maybe at some point I can put a book together like this. I mean, I do my magazine, the Diggers magazine, which again is not just about me, it's about showcasing great photographers around me and other artists. So, Exhibit's been in my book, Stuart Myers has been in my book, Lee Crawford's been in my book. These are all people that are really genuinely close around me that I believe in, and I think, if nobody's going to shout about us or acknowledge what we do, then that's why I decided to make my magazine. But I'd love to be able to create something like this at some point. So anyway, going to the shot, I kind of knew that it was coming, that there's a strong possibility they're going to call me on the stage. It happened to me at Blackstreet at Wembley Arena, so I was thinking Chuck's going to shout me out, be ready. So I'm looking at my camera because it takes a minute to get it into focus, because I do everything quite manual. I do a lot of stuff, my work, manual mode. And so when he shouted me out to come onto the stage and take the picture, and then give me a good, I suppose, respect and give me some information, I was a little bit lost, to be honest, when I came out. I didn't know what to do at that point, where to stand, because I was restricted from where I could go. But I just decided to go sit on the drums and take the picture. But what I do know and I do like is Chuck will create the space for you to take that picture, because he knows it's going to take some time to focus your camera. So I like the fact that he's quite aware of that, and maybe no one's ever mentioned it, but he's again very aware of how long things take, because I think he may have been a bit of a photographer himself. So I took pictures with my digital camera, and I took a Pentax MV like film camera, waiting to see how they come out, because I'm returning and having a go and exploring a bit more of the film photography again. Something that I did when I was a student many 30 years ago.